today we're chatting all things classroom essentials. So things that I consider to be essential as an elementary music teacher. So I'm gonna walk you around my room a little bit and we are going to chat about my classroom essentials. So right now you're sitting on my desk and I don't have a typical teacher desk. I wanted something very small, just kind of a table to write on. So I have the Vayscale writing table. I will link it. I'll try to have links for lots of the stuff down below. I really like it. It is thin. It is just doesn't take up much room in my classroom. And that's the reason why I went with this one. I just needed something for myself. I don't need a typical teacher table where I have kids working with me. So that's what you're sitting on right now. And then let's get started on some classroom essentials. So these are my do-a-tangs that I save student work in. So they're just regular Hilroy report covers and they sit in the Dollarama magazine holders. I find these sturdy enough for me to use in my classroom, so they work depending on what grade my classes are in. So anyone in an even number grade this year, so 2 or 4, I guess is it, will have the gray do-a-tangs this year. And then anyone in an odd number class, so 1 through 5, will have black do-a-tangs this year. I teach all multi-grade classes, so having the different colors just helps me to pull if I'm looking for a certain kid. It just helps me to pull, and then it helps me when I transfer them over year to year, because I have bought these do-a-tangs for the kids this year, so they will use them for their entire time while they are with me here doing music. The other thing that I keep over in my teacher area is all of my teaching resources. I'm going to show you 2 of my favorites, 2 of my essentials. The first one is Artie Emilia's Mallet Madness. This has great mallet activities. There's something in here for all of the grade levels. I've used it with my 1-2s all the way up to my 4s and 5s. So this is a great book. I would highly recommend. Any of her stuff is great if we're being honest. The other book that I really, really like is The Orphan Mosaic of Canada. This has, for me, is great because it has lots of Canadian folk songs, but it also has lots of seasonal songs and songs about animals. So there is lots of options and they all come with orphan arrangements, some more complex than others. But as you can see on my tags along the top, those are a few of my favorites, but this is my go-to resource when I'm looking for something new to use in my classroom or something to teach with a certain concept. Back in this corner, I also have my bins with all of my read aloud books, and I really like how I have them stored. I have them stored by when I'll set them out, so they are all there. So now I'm gonna move you and we're gonna talk about some of my storage essentials. All right, so the first storage thing I want to chat about is these IKEA Trofast stands. These are the tall ones. I got them off of Facebook Marketplace and they were not in great shape, so I got them all stained. My fiance stained them for me, but these I keep back in my teacher corner, and this one has like kind of my stuff in it, and that one has some extra manipulatives, but those work great for storing things. My classroom does not have much storage, so this is super handy. The other great storage thing that I just added to my classroom just before the end of June was this Amazon shelf. It's just an Amazon Basics shelf that snaps together. And as you can see on the top, it's just kind of stuff. And then these are all my manipulative bins that we'll talk about later, and my work bins, and then my pianos that I have right now are on the bottom. So now more specifically, some storage things that I use lots of and I use all the time. So the first one is the cases of photo boxes from Michaels. This big case has 24 in it, I think. And the case sizes are 4x6, so they're photo boxes. I use these for storing lots of, like, as you can see, my music, my Uno games, my Write the Rooms get stored in here. Some movement, class composition cards, they all get stored in here. What else? I have so all of those like card games that are smaller get stored in here. And then I also have the 5x7 size, just for some different sizes. So in here I have things stored, like my letters for my alphabet songs, shapes, all that kind of stuff. So I think I have 3 of the bigger full cases with the 24, and I think I have between home and here, I think I have about 5 of these ones. They're not super cheap to buy, I'll be completely honest, but they work best for me and the storage that I have. I would love to be able to store them a little bit better and like have systems to the boxes, but that's a project for another time. A cheaper storage solution that also works just as well for me are these tubs. They come in 2 sizes. And these ones are from Dollarama. They are a lot like the Sterilite tubs, but like a third of the price, less than that. These small ones, I just bought some. They might be about $2.50, and the big ones are about $4. So in the small ones, I store things, all my like hands-on manipulatives. So like this one has bingo chips, my gold coins, my pumpkins, my all of that kind of stuff that I use for rhythm writing and solfege writing. They all get stored in here and are on that shelf that I just showed you. And then in the bigger ones is where I store things like bingo games, bump it games, flashcards. Like this one is the start of my melodic stuff. So I have my free treble clef ones and my So Me ones. So they all get stored in here. The other thing that I store in here is like I've bought off TPT like the posters for composers and made them into books. They all get stored in here. So anything essentially that is 8.5 by 11 size all get stored in here. I know lots of people like the scrapbook ones, but I don't really have anything to store that is more than 8.5 by 11. So that's why they all stay in here, because these are $4. So I have 15 of these containers, and I have 15 of these ones, and they all just sit on that back shelf that I just showed you. So those are my main things for storage. We are at the front of the room, and we are going to slowly start to talk about things that are more directly music related. But before that, I want to show my teacher bag, which is maybe my biggest teaching essential. This is a 31 bag. It holds usually a binder, my day planner, a notebook, and my laptop. And it comes back and forth to school every day. It is like lined in the middle, so if anything were to spill in there, no problems, anything like that. So teaching essential, a good teacher bag, whatever that means for you. Now, some more music essentials. So say you're coming to a school and you have nothing for instruments. These would be the 5 that I suggest you get as soon as possible. And I would suggest you get like a third of a class set of each. So the first one would be cluster bells. Teaching essential, I use them all the time. Next would be rhythm sticks. Again, super versatile. You can use them for so many things. Drumming, tapping, so many options with rhythm sticks. Castanets and egg shakers, also great, can be used with so many songs. Great for keeping beat, things like that. And these things are all things that aren't super duper expensive for you to buy. You can buy them off of Amazon. You can get these types of things, you can get lesser quality ones and they'll still be just as good. And then the other thing that I would say is a teaching essential for me is my movement scarves. I have a whole bin. I just bought them off of Amazon, and a whole bin of them works great, used for lots of different movements, things like that. Something less music teacher related would be my personal whiteboards. These are great for having kids write rhythms on. I also just keep a cup of markers at the front. So for kids writing rhythms, if I just want them to doodle to a song and I don't want it to be something that is handed in, great for that type of thing as well. Along with whiteboards, I would also say clipboards are a teaching essential. These ones have been in my room since before I was here, as you can tell by the doodles. But they're great for if I have kids working on my carpet or working at centers and they need to write. I always give them the option to use a clipboard. Works perfect, teaching essential for me. Because I have a smaller teaching area at the back, I really, really like this teaching cart that I have. So this one is from Amazon. No, this one is from Michael's, but you can get them from Amazon. And it just kind of stores all of the stuff that I might need while I'm teaching, like whiteboard markers. If we're working on a certain concept, I'll throw the flashcards up in here. There's also just things that need to be stored somewhere, so they get stored in here. This ball is great for breathing, things like that. That gets stored in there. So it's just super handy, essential to have something beside me with some supplies. I'll keep like this whole case of binder clips in here. Teaching essential also, the binder clips, but I keep them there just so they're handy and I'm not having to run around the room for things. I would consider a teaching essential as a music teacher is a microphone. This is just plastic, but my kids love it, and that's how I train them to echo patterns. So I'll say, my name's Miss Jayna, your name's Miss Jayna. So that's how I show them in the beginning, and when they're younger, for when it's my turn and their turn, works great. And along with that, a pointer I also find super useful. The kids love when they get the turn to use the pointer. So another teaching essential. Something a little less exciting, these magnetic clips for my whiteboard are great. If kids give me work, I'll usually tell them that I put it on the board for a week and I just use these clips. It's also great when we're doing things like movement cards, charades, I can clip them all on there. These ones are just from Dollarama or Dollar Tree and super handy. They're pretty durable for what I'm using them for. They don't ever usually hold more than a piece of cardstock, but it's good anyways. Another teaching essential for me right now is this carpet. It is new and it needs cleaned, but it's great for having kids have designated spots. I use a seating plan, so I love it. Another thing that for me would be a teaching essential is my grade binder. These have no students' names in them, so I can show it to you. So each class has a class color, and in this sheet I put student names, and then down here it has the date, and then just what assignment we're working on that day. So super handy. And also while I'm on this, super handy teaching music essential is to give your kids class colors, because it makes it so easy. So I know when I have Mrs. Sheldon's class, it is always yellow and they always get yellow photocopies. Another teaching essential for me is puppets. I have a literacy camp in here right now and they've been playing with them. They're not usually this disorganized, but puppets are a teaching essential. And I got another rolling card. This one has 4 tiers to store my puppets on. I bought that at like the end of the school year, and so far it is working much better to store the puppets. They need organized, but that's fine. Hand in bin for me is a teaching essential. I think now I'm just gonna kind of walk you around my room and kind of find other things that are essentials to me. If you had money to buy more instruments than what I told you before, the next thing I would buy is hand drums, and the kids love them. I teach music, so having supplies in my classroom is a teaching essential for me, because then kids don't have to bring them. So I have my own sets of markers in here, erasers, pencils, and these skin color markers right there. This rack, I don't know if it's an essential. It might be an essential because this is where I store all the books that we're using in that season, that month. The other thing that I would say is essential as someone who teaches music is a good speaker. This Red Cat was here when I got here. I really have no complaints. It has a great sound. I would love if it was Bluetooth, but it's not. But a good speaker, and it also has a mic option with it if that was something that you would want. Another thing that is essential for me is our bathroom light. So when students ask to go to the bathroom, they turn on the light and turn it off when they come back in. At times, I also just turn it on, and that means you can't ask me to go. So that is great for when I'm teaching and I need everyone in my classroom. All right, so we are back at my desk now. I hope that gave you a little bit of insight into things that I could not live without as a teacher. A few more things to consider. I always have snacks in my classroom for myself. And I also usually have a second set of shoes that I know is comfortable and that I know I can change into for anything that comes up, and that looks good with a lot of different outfits in case I wear like my winter boots one day and then I forgot to bring another pair of shoes. So having those things like just for yourself, same with like hand lotion, gum, all of that stuff for yourself, I also consider teaching essentials because they just make me feel happy throughout the day, make my life a little bit easier, all of that kind of stuff. So that is all for the teaching essentials video. So until next time, have a good one, and I'll see you later. Bye.